All right. Good morning again, boys and girls. As if you didn't see the previous video, John and I are shooting a series of loadout videos here early morning on Friday, the 23rd of May. It's Memorial Weekend. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Raise your glass to our honored dead. And we're doing a loadout video series on the Mother and the G3. You know, we've already kind of the previous video, we showed how you can combine those things. And before we get into and now we're going to talk about very quickly the padded strap wrap. There's something I want to point out with the padded strap wrap, the shoulder strap. I've done this in the video. John's got something set up he's going to share with you as well. But if you see the previous video, so in between, I took the time and mounted. Again, I like it. I think it holds it pretty dang tight, together the way, you kind of do that. You can mess around with the molly on the back if you wanted it to be, it can attach a little bit different how you do it. But this was that little trick of having the drag handle up front, taking the bikini strap, the male portion, taking it out and under the bottom of the drag handle, and then connecting it just gives you another little connection point right there. So I just wanted to point that out. We'd mentioned it in the other video, but I didn't have it set up for that. But what we want to do now is really quickly, we're going to just do some stuff with the padded strap wrap. If you think it's just a pad, well, go wrap a towel or an old t-shirt around your shoulder strap. That would be a pad, right? But this is a pad and it's got storage on the inside. And then here's what I wanted to point out before we bring it over to John. I found that this, and I've got to do a better job on the website, but when you're ordering anything with the shoulder strap, you have options. The way it normally comes is, see these loops right there? That's 1-inch webbing on the 1.5 inch webbing, and it makes loops so you can attach different things. I've got this set up just to show off. So I could have this on, and now there's a Fast Tech buckle. If I wanted to do a single point sling or attach something right there, I could do it. Or if you run cordage, on my hunting rig, I've got a Lagome knife set up there. So it's the normal loops are designed for that. That's how it normally comes. As a customization, you can get these elastic shotgun shell loops sewn on there instead for 12 gauges. But what I wanted to point out here as we go into the padded strap wrap, a normal shoulder strap with the shotgun shell loops will still fit inside the padded strap wrap, but it's going to be a little bulky because those loops, it's elastic, they're pretty rigid, whereas the webbing loops, you can see they lay pretty flat. They don't take up any extra space, whereas these guys, they've got some oomph to them, and it's elastic. So it'll still squish down. It'll fit in there, but it can but then you kind of don't get to fit anything else up inside. There's what I'm kind of saying. So my recommendation, if you're going to run a padded strap wrap on whatever, and you want those shotgun shell loops, have those on, because you can do that. You can order and get a padded strap wrap. And instead of the normal 1-inch just webbing loops, you can get the padded strap wrap with the shotgun shell loop. So I just wanted to point that out to people. That's my recommendation. But hey, you do you. And now let's bring it over to John, a.k.a. the Accessorizer, because he's got a little special treat he wants to share with you on what he does.
All right. So, with my padded strap wrap, I'm just going to snap it off here. So a couple things here. I keep a belt pouch on it. You guys, if you haven't seen the video with the belt pouch, check it out. I got a lot of stuff crammed in here. That's pretty much a first aid and an accessories kit. Okay. I also keep a schmog tied at on each end, because as I'm, hiking around and I'm sweating, I got a towel. Right. So that's that.
Hey, just real quickly, I got to throw myself under the bus. I could have used that schmog. I'm wearing a different hoodie than when we first start. Those hoodies that we were selling, they're winter weight hoodies. It's like 40 some degrees here. I couldn't wear it. I was sweating. I needed the schmog to start. I'm like, I got to change hoodies, man. So that's a damn good idea. Just always having that right there. That's a good idea.
Yep. And then when I first set this kit up in 2023, I was running like an 8x8 sil nylon tarp that I needed a ridge line. So imagine I'm walking through the woods. I need to set up a tarp. All I'm going to do here is you pop this out a little bit, and you're going to see a little loop. You see that?
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah, we can get a loop.
It just pops out. All right. This is Kevlar tripwire. I pull those down, and now this is a rapid deployment ridge line. So now I go around my tree, put a stick in. These two are on Prusik. Actually, I have 3 here. Prusik knot. So I just walk away from that tree. This comes out. Go back around. Tie my trucker's hitch. Get to my G3. Throw the 8x8 tarp up there, and there's your shelter. So, and I mean, this is a 2mm Dyneema cordage. It is, I think I got about 30 feet in here, and it weighs nothing. So now I'm not running that system anymore. Oh, there, look how much more is in there. All right. So, but I kept it in there because you never know when you need cordage.
Yep.
This went back, you know, the kids were two years younger back then. Now they got their own, T60 shelters in their Scout bottle carrier. So now this is just cordage. All right.
Hey, so and folks, I'm sure it's still on my YouTube channel. I have an old video showing what John just did right there. And I like, you know, because, you know, I only threw some cordage in there for the video, and I put too much in because it was like I kept pulling and it kept coming and coming. But what John just did with that was total con world. You know, you should have, just for fun, you should have just had all kinds of handkerchiefs tied to each other, you know, and did that little magician trick, you know.
Well, remember the intent is a rapid deployment ridgeline. So you want at least, I mean, your trees are going to be far apart sometimes. So,
yep.
And then this little, this Kevlar tripwire, it works pretty good. It actually bites down. So when you get into a lot of these ultralight cordages, it's very slippery. So it's not like bank. Sometimes you'll like Bakeline really bites in good to paracord. So I wasn't sure if this was going to work, but I was like, screw it, I'm going to try it. And it works really good. I mean, it bites down, you know, hard.
Yeah. So that's just another way. So it's not just a pad, right? Because if you just want a pad, you know, wrap a towel around it or an old t-shirt, you know, around your shoulder strap, and then you can make your own pad. So, you know, when people were asking for a pad, that was my thought process. I'm like, you know, and just like you, I'm sick of pads on shoulder straps that the pad moves all over the place and it's really a pain in the ass, you know. So the pad that we made, you know, if you look at the shoulder straps here, this will be a little bit better. How we do our shoulder straps, you know, we come from 1.5 inch webbing down to 1 inch webbing, and then that piece in between is called the reducer. It goes from 1.5 inches to 1 inch. And then it's the same on the opposite end, right? So both ends have this reducer. And that padded strap wrap is designed, you know, and I've got some set up, but this will show up a little bit better, you know, to go in between those, right? So it isn't going to slide around on you, the pad itself, because that's something that just always annoyed the living shit out of me, is like, hey, now I do want a pad. And then when I want it, it's not where the pad is necessary. It's down on my back or on my chest or something like that. So when we made that, the intent was I don't want it to slide around on the strap, and it's got to be more than just the pad, because again, if that's what you want, and I'm not joking, if you were in the military, you've done this a million times, take an old t-shirt, wrap it around your weapon sling, tape it down. Yep. You know, all kinds of it. Yeah, exactly. So storage space on the inside, storage space on the outside. And you know, and then if you get creative like John just did, you know, that's a great thing. You know, go see that other video. You know, and there's a million different ways you can set it up. John's got a technique, you know, and I'm going to start doing some videos on knots. In case you don't know what a trucker's hitch is, go look that up. There's a million knot videos on YouTube, but, or, you know, channels, but, you know, and figure nines work too, you know, the night eye ones. Yeah. So you're just coming up to a tree, zoop, zoop. And then you just literally could be walking. You don't even have to pull it out. You could just like walk backwards and it just deploys. And if you're smart about it, you'll S-roll that in there, not picking on John, because no matter what, in such a small compartment, even if you S-roll it, you still run the risk of like the whole thing just dumping out in a clump. But if you notice, that didn't happen until the very end. So if you get that cordage in there smartly, it'll just self-deploy out, you know, just like an S-roll. Just think of like parachuting or anything like that. Webbing just, and the cordage just keeps coming out as you're deploying until you to the point where you need, you know, okay, this is all I need. Pull the rest out, make, you know, your final, you know, whatever you're going to do to affix your line to that other tree or that other object. Boom, ridge line right there. Anything else you want to add to it there, accessorizer?
No, I think that's it. I mean, obviously, I could probably figure out a lot of crap to put in there, but I don't want a ton of stuff in there. I just like having that cordage. cordage in there because it keeps it from getting tangled up. You know, and that cordage has been in there for 2 years and it came out really nice. So,
well, you know, and there are other items, just play around with it, you know, like hydration straws, you know, lickies and chewies, you know, but I think for the most part, people are use that and they put cordage in there. I think that's pretty predominantly, I bet that's how it's used, is for cordage inside of there. So, all right. Hey, we're doing a series of videos here today. So that kind of concludes the padded strap wrap. We're going to shut this one down and take a little break, get everything set up. And then we're going to come back in and we're going to do John's loadout with the Mother Canteen Care. I'm pretty excited between that and the G3. I don't know right now, make a bet. If you're watching this in sequence, and maybe I'll release these in sequence, because the bet would be, does John have more items in the Mother or more items in the G3? Because Lord knows he can get a lot of stuff and things. So we're going to find out which one he's got loaded up more. All right, we'll be right back to shoot the part 3, I guess, and we'll do that in a second. So, all right, everybody, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next release. John's loadout for the Mother. All right, everybody, be good. Woo!